Welcome to our General Hospital Snark, Snarky Chat with our favorite Mr. LiGH, Sam Wang. We're so grateful to have him with us today. This is a continuation of our conversation with him that we had with the patrons a couple of months ago, but we wanted to share this wonderful man with all of you because he was just so fun to talk to. So with that introduction, David, take it away.
Hi, everyone. David, aka Snark Jr. here. We all have aliases. We've got Mama Snark, Snark Jr., and Mr.LiGH, aka Samuel Wang. So anyway, Sam, thanks so much for being here today. I know our patrons enjoyed having you for the chat a couple of months ago, and I know everybody else is just going to love being able to meet you and get a sense of who you are, who's the guy behind Mr.LiGH. So big thanks to you for doing this with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me on. Big fan of the Snark.
Well, we're big fans of you. So
yeah,
thank you.
Kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, Sam. Where did you come from? How did you get into where you are right now?
All right. Yeah, that's a great starting point. Well, I actually started in college. I never thought I'd be an actor. I was actually studying for international business. And I was playing rugby through college. I ended up going to China to let me see. I ended up going to China because that was the only place I was hiring because I graduated college at the worst possible time. It was 2008. And so nobody was hiring during the recession. So I went there to pursue my major and figure everything out. And I fell into a local club over there and I started playing rugby over there. And one day somebody was like, hey, do you mind being a model and helping me with some work? Because he was a photographer. So I started helping him. And then, then it just started getting fun. I think the more I started helping out with art projects, the more work projects felt like work. Like I would sit there like, I wonder what so and so is doing, or just things started getting a little more bland for me in the corporate world. And so when I came back after my contract ended and my wife was pregnant, we came back and I decided to take an acting class, and I just completely fell in love with it, and here I am years later, still following the dream, I guess.
That's wonderful.
Living the dream. And you're on a soap opera that has a lot of very fervent and rabid fans. So we enjoy our little snippets of Mr.LiGH. So why don't you walk us through a little bit of the process of auditioning for General Hospital? What was that like? And actually then getting the part?
Oh my gosh. I mean, again, I'm super grateful to General Hospital and just everybody that to even take a chance on me. I know I've been auditioning for them for like almost, I want to say 2 years, and for the whole 2 years, but it was always like bailiff or security guard or pool guy, and I think when LiGH came around, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do it. They haven't cast me in 2 years, but obviously maybe I'm just gonna, I still gotta try because I really wanted to be on General Hospital. So, I went out and I did it, and then all of a sudden my agent gave me a phone call. I remember it was probably like 2 months. I think I already given up. I said that they're not calling me back. It's very clear that they found somebody else. And then normally it wouldn't take that long to cast, and all of a sudden my agent calls me and is like, I hope you like soap operas because you booked the role. And I had to pull over because I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious? I had to like tell my agent like, hey, I'm an old man. Don't mess with me because my heart can't take it. If you're joking, it's not funny. Yeah. So, but yeah, and when I got it, I was just so excited, and it really sets into the whole, I know it's very cliche, but it's just things are meant to be because, you know, he was saying if you were to have booked the bailiff, which you only work one day, or pool boy, you wouldn't be eligible for this role because they've seen you already, you know?
Although I will say this, Sam, I
Mhm.
would pay money to see you stand in the Metro Court pool up to your ankles. So maybe
Thank you.
Mr. Lee can make a pool appearance and do. We were
That
watching
would be a great suggestion.
the
There you
pool
go.
is hilarious. Have you ever, by the way, off topic, but have you ever been to that set, the pool
Yeah.
set? So
Yes.
how clarify for all our snarkies, how deep is the pool?
It's actually pretty deep. Like it takes a while to fill up. You know, I remember I got there in the morning and they were filling it up for a scene, and I was like, wow, that's a real pool. You know, it's almost like a real pool, pretty much. It's just like thinner and longer. That's it. Yeah. So you
Because
It
can
almost
we,
looks like it looks like they're compensating a lot of times. Like it's not that deep, or I don't have that far to swim, so I'm just gonna, swim like this to get. And I get that. I totally get that. Hey, if you're a background or an extra in these scenes, you want to milk it. You want to be noticed, but it just it doesn't ever seem that deep on camera when we
so
see it.
basically what we're hoping for is a scene where Selena Wu somehow gets thrown into the pool and you have to jump in and save her, but the pool only comes up to your knees. Yeah.
probably what it is.
Probably would.
Yeah, because from me looking, I was on the bottom of the stage, so I was looking. It could have been a lot different from the upper perspective, you know.
So
So
back, I was going to say back to your audition, if you don't mind
yeah.
me jumping in.
So
Who-
now, did you
Go
think
ahead.
it was an April Fool's joke? Like when I first contacted you about doing this interview, because that was on April
1,000%.
Fool's.
1,000%. I thought you were one of my friends. And actually, I have a
I
friend.
was gonna punk you.
Yeah, I had a high school friend, and you know, we're still buddies. But he's a PA. He's a physician's assistant, you know. And I was joking with him, and I said, "Oh, I guess you know, I guess we both of us work in a hospital, you know." And then when I booked it, and then so I thought, we always bust each other's chops, and so I thought it was him, you know. And I was like, okay. But then I went on and I researched, you know, and I was like, oh, it's you guys are serious.
It's
It's not
okay.
him, you know.
Sadly, it's real life.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. It didn't even occur to me that
No,
it was
no.
Fool's Day.
I'm
And I'm
and
thinking,
I'm so
oh, yeah.
flattered and I'm so honored that you guys actually reached out and you know that was you know super awesome. Thank you guys.
And you're our cover photo, as I shared with you the
I
other day.
saw that. You know, I sent it to my dad and he was like, "Who graffitied on your face?" And I said,
No.
"No." Like, what does that say? Because I was like, no, it's good, it's good. And it actually got me closer. I actually started watching since we last talked. I've had chances. It was all, you know, it was on my watch list. And so now I'm in it. I'm involved, like watching the storylines and like, you know, and trying to figure things out. But I think with my situation is I kind of work backwards now. It's because so I go, that's what happened. Like,
Right.
okay, I see.
Well, we were very much that episode, that last episode you were in, where you had lines, which was fantastic. We were looking forward to because we had Bonnie Burrows, Gladys, on our chat a couple weeks ago, and she mentioned that she had been filming with you and that she had a little moment and she hoped they kept it in, and we got to see it. Yeah, it was great.
That was really good.
Yeah, she's just like, and I followed her Gladys storyline throughout, you know, and then I finally realized, oh, okay, you're Sonny's cousin. I didn't even know that. I thought you were just like, a degenerate gambler, you know.
Sonny doesn't even know that.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then you get the part and your first day on the set. What was that like? Walk us through that.
Oh my gosh, it was nerve-wracking. It was here's the thing is I'm used to films. So I'm used to like a very slow pace, you know. I usually check in and hang out in my trailer and relax and and this was more like check in. Okay, here's all the things you need to do now. Get ready, and it was just so fast paced because they have like 100 scenes to shoot that day, as opposed to in film, you could spend the whole day shooting maybe 3 scenes or 4 scenes, so you get to take your time and rest. And, it just kind of made me really nervous because I was like, I've never done this before. I'm not used to this. But then I got to meet Lydia, who came and introduced herself to me for the first time. And she just completely like, how when someone's aura, like she had such a calm and welcoming like aura energy that it kind of just spread onto me, which calmed me down, and then so we did our scene, and then I really freaked out because I found out I had got to be in the scene with Harry Shen, Brad, and I actually grew up watching. I don't know. He has a film long time ago in the 90s called Better Luck Tomorrow, which was one of the first Asian American films. And I was in high school at that time. So I really was like, that was the first time I saw an Asian American on a movie and as the lead. And I remember freaking out just standing next to him in the scene. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, I have to say something. So I remember I like lifted my mask and was like, Harry, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm a big fan of your work. And he was like, oh, like in between takes really quick while they're setting up. And I said, I'm trying so hard not to freak out right now. And then he was, very, nice. And he thanked me. And then, and it was just really cool to get to see someone that you looked at in high school, like, and finally getting to meet him. And he was just everything. I thought he'd be. He was.
Well, exactly. It goes back to the whole thing. Representation matters, and it's wonderful that you got to have that experience. That's so important. And I get the impression that Perry is kind of a hilarious human and wonderful to be around. So that's wonderful to hear. Good.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
And it's great you had that sort of like pinch yourself moment. Like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting somebody who I looked up to growing up. And maybe someday you will be that person for somebody else that they looked up to you. So,
yeah, thank you. I mean, but yes, definitely. It was definitely a milestone for me, I think, as even career wise, just to be in a scene with him and, and new milestones. I mean, just working with all these wonderful cast members like Bonnie and Lydia, and even Josh, I was in a scene with him and, he was just like one of the coolest guys,
Now,
That's
walking
awesome.
around that set, who would you love to have a scene with? Which actor would you love to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
Oh man, probably Curtis or Kirsten Storm. Just because I see them around a lot. Like I see them on set, like shooting their scenes, and I'm always like, wow, and I mean, not to take anything away, every actor on that show is just, I don't know how they do it. It's insane because I'll get the script and it's like 40 pages and I'm like, how are they gonna do this? And it's like, wow, and then you see them and you're like, wow, they're doing it. That's amazing. I have like 2 lines and I'm freaking out and I'm like, how are they staying so cool?
Practice, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question. So the day not even the first day, but when you go on set and you have Mr.LiGH scenes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that they take all of the scenes that are in a particular set location, even though we as the audience may see them over several days, but do you film them all at the same time in one day?
Yeah. So,
and then you said you've seen Curtis and Kirsten walking around. Are there others places where they're filming other things at the same time? I mean, are there like 4 different sets where things are going on, or is it one at a time?
It's all one at a time, just because. But everybody's setting up, so it's like there's not even like, like I said, it's so different. When you're done with the film, it's usually like cut, and then everybody's like, "Oh, that was great," like, yeah, this one was like, "Cut, see ya. We gotta go over there. Like, we gotta move to the next set." Like, and you're just like, "I'll see you later then."
Well, in television, time is money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I'm sure that Frank, as David has said many times, Frank Valentini has his job because he knows how to manage his time and his money. And they love that. And I'm sure that he's got things going at a very efficient clip down there at Prospect Park. So,
Yeah.
And still make the show look good. Because I would say of the 4 current American soaps that are on the air right now, I think in terms of look, in terms of sets, in terms of detail, I think GH really excels at like making things look a lot like there was a bigger budget than there is.
right. The Quartermain Mansion is a perfect example of that. They make that any set that's set in the Quartermain house looks opulent. And the same with, like the Savoy. Now, granted, I'm sure that's a very small room, and what we see from the front is not at all what it's like from the back. But yeah,
But it's still cool. I mean, it looks like a club.
yeah, it does. Yeah,
There's a lot of well, soaps, especially in the past, the clubs, you're like, are you kidding me? Like that looks like no club I've been in, but it actually does look like a club, which is kind of cool. And I know you spent some time on that set because that's where we've seen you most.
And you've been on our favorite set, which is the docks.
Yes, the docks.
So tell us about that. What is that like when you're on set?
It's honestly, it's just a great learning experience. I think just because I'm surrounded by all of these talented actors, Lydia, Bonnie, Evan, Maurice, Josh, all of them. And like, it's kind of like when you're a minor league baseball player and then they like in a major league team calls you up to kind of, sorry, I came from a sports background. So
that's a great analogy.
No.
That's a great
That's why
analogy.
sports and acting are so connected.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm sometimes I'm afraid I come off kind of like a jerk because I don't talk. I don't talk to the other cast as much, and it's mostly because I'm watching. Like, like I said, it's like a minor league getting called up and getting to watch these people who make something so hard look so easy, and you think it's like, when you watch TV, you're like, oh, I could do that. You know what I mean? But that's when the actors are good, when they make you think you can do that, because it's nerve wracking. You got cameras all over the place, and you have literally like 3 takes before they're like getting upset with you.
Moving on.
Yeah. So I'm literally watching them, and I learned from them one thing is bring a pen, because they always got a pen so they can write, the directions down during rehearsing. And I'm just, it's just really amazing for me. Every time I go on set, I learn something new, and it's always like just something I add to my personal knowledge vault for when I move on to the next project or when I do something else,
And it does help you. I mean, so many soap actors and people who've graduated and gone on to other TV shows and film, always the great ones always acknowledge their soap past and say that's where you learn how to do everything and to do it quickly and to do it efficiently, because having that skill set is amazing. I mean, like you said, to memorize 40 pages of dialogue, pretty much, I know they get the scripts a couple days before, but when you're on 3-4 times a week and having that kind of workload, I mean, it's an amazing talent, and you're in great company there.
You really are. But I was wondering, one of the things we snark about on the page is the fact that there's so much repetition in dialogue. They say, and I wonder if some of that is done consciously I mean, it would be confusing to me if I had to memorize two different scripts, but I was basically saying the same thing on both days. But maybe for them, it's a shortcut for the actors. I don't know, but it's interesting to I will always say, and my stepmom is an actor, and she has been in film, she's been on television, and she did a stint on General Hospital back in the late 70s. And she's always wanted to say, soap opera actors are the hardest working actors in the business. And yes, other people may have far more glitz and glamour and recognition and fame, but nobody works harder than in this craft. 100%. And so what a wonderful opportunity for you, because, you know, in 25 years, when you have your own sitcom and you're famous and all this, you're going to be able to look back and go, holy cow, I learned so much being on the set of General Hospital.
Yeah, that begs the question, where would you like your career to go from here? I mean, obviously it would be great to see you in a contract role on General Hospital, but you know, looking forward even past that, what do you see for yourself? Where do you feel you'd be happiest in the business?
It's a great question. Wow. These are hard-hitting questions.
Should have prepped you more.
This is the Diane Sawyer moment.
Well, if we can make you cry, then we can have a Barbara Walters moment.
Yes. Or if we make you throw something, we'll have a Jerry Springer moment. So.
There we go. Yeah. Just don't bring up like anybody that says they're my baby mama or something like that, and then we'll have a Maury. That's a great question, David. I think doing projects like this and shooting, I would love to just be consistently working, like you said, like a contract player. Every time my agent calls me and tells me General Hospital wants me, I literally am so grateful. And, and when like you guys putting like a nobody like me on your page, even that, I was so grateful. I was, I think being in this industry is honestly one of like the hardest professions ever. And again, any sort of recognition, like how you guys came, and it really makes me feel really good. And it's just like continuing to do projects like this or working in film and TV is doesn't matter what it comes, as long as somebody recognizes your work and appreciates it. And I think that's all I can ask for,
And speaking of, I think one of your films, didn't it just get an award for Best Action Film at one of the film festivals? I can't think of the title right now, but
no, I don't think that was one of my films.
Just news to you, or
no? I haven't been in anything too award-winning yet, but
no, it's something recent that just came out, was in a film festival, and I'm sorry, but it's escaping me the title. You should know it. You did it.
Oh, it was probably a short film.
Yeah.
Probably. Oh, yeah, that was a thing we did for class. It was it was me. Funny story behind that. Yeah, it was some classmates from acting class. They were shooting a short for a competition festival, and they ended up winning for best film and best actor. And so they called me up to be in it, and I was like, "Yay, let's go!"
Right.
But that was really fun. Yeah. So it was called The Pumpkin. Yeah, and it was Halloween themed.
There we go.
Yeah.
So going back to your role on General Hospital, when you first got the part, did they give you a character description, or did they just kind of say, he's this kind of guy, so kind of be this way, or were you kind of just left on your own to figure it out?
I think I was just kind of left on my by myself to figure it out, and it was pretty fun thinking of like different, because I remember when I auditioned, I sent 2 takes because I wasn't sure how they wanted it. So I don't know which take was the one that they went with, but it was 2 very opposite. One was like very Terminator kind of like, I'm just gonna play it very like straight robotic. And the other one was I played it like how I imagine like a goon would be, like like a bodyguard. So when they cast me, they didn't tell me which one, so I just kind of like, okay, I'll just merge the two and then we'll just figure out whatever happens.
Hey, it works. Whatever it is, it works. Yeah.
You had to pull over on the side of the road. So.
Yes, I did that. Yes.
Now, what about in your off time? Tell us about a little bit about your personal life. I know you have 3 boys, and you coach their soccer team, right?
Yes, and for some reason, I don't know, I'm a glutton for punishment. I signed on again to coach both their soccer teams. I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old, 3 boys. That's and I coach the 8-year-old and their 10-year-old. I coach their soccer teams. So
it's a little like coaching a bunch of golden retriever puppies, isn't it?
It is. It is. But they talk back.
Oh.
And they give you attitude. I got a couple 10-year-olds going on 16 right now, and they're just, you're like, wow, okay, But yeah, that's and just spending my time with my family and writing, and just try and be creative, and just working together with friends. I think that's the most important part, and that's what makes work fun, though, right?
Yep. And what kind of writing are you doing?
Right now it's just writing, just like, hey, wouldn't this be funny if this was like a short film or a movie or something like that? And then it's on a Google Drive, and then my friends would be like, yeah, that is kind of funny, but this is funnier, and then you're like, well, I guess
wonderful. That's a great way to collaborate.
Yeah, and it's because they have kids as well, and this is kind of like our thing, because we can't always meet, so we get together on Google and just chat on the phone while we're typing on our shared documents.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I was in a group like that.
Yeah, I know. That sounds really fun.
I'm in the middle of a writer's strike. I can't do anything.
Yeah, but we're nowhere near writers. We're just writing like.
You're writing it down. You're a writer.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, whether you're paid for it or not, that's a different thing. But
there you go. It's certainly not paying any bills.
I remember you mentioning in the chat about, I think you said your youngest thought you worked in a hospital or something.
Yes, they all told the teacher I work in a hospital, and the teacher talked to me, and I said, You're like, oh, you're a doctor. I was like, no, I don't know who told you that. And they were like, well, your son says you work at General Hospital. I don't know where General Hospital is. And they were like, what is it, like the show General Hospital? And I said, yeah, it's the show.
Like, it is the show.
I don't work at a hospital.
That's kind of awesome.
That was pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, the name of the show kind of does it in sometimes. It's like turns into a comedy routine, like who's on first, what's on second. Yeah. I don't know who's on third. I work at General Hospital. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a goon.
There you go. I'm a goon. I'm not even a doctor. Yeah.
But you're the head goon of Selena Wu.
I'm the head goon, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll hold on to that.
It is our sense that the whole Selena Wu Asian Quarter story is really hopefully going to pick up here after the strike, I'm assuming. And I'm very excited to see. Well, first of all, I find Selena Wu's character to be very interesting. And I want them, I know they had to put Victor to bed and they had to put other bad guys to bed, but I really want to see her blossom into a really clever rival for Sunny. I think that would be just fantastic. There's also a rumor, I don't know how up you are on the storyline, but we have Nicholas Cassadine, who is off screen right now, and supposedly he's being held. He was semi-murdered.
Mm-hmm. Attempted murder.
You can only do that on a soap, right?
Yeah.
He's semi-murdered, and now we saw this really flashback of him on a ventilator being babysat by Mason, who you probably don't even know. He's another goon, and we don't know where he fits into anything. But people are saying, the end of my story here is, wouldn't it be cool if it was Selena Wu who had Nicholas on ice? And that would bring the whole Asian Quarter story and the Cassidines and the Corinthos into one tidy little ball of mayhem, which would be so fun.
Yeah, because they've indicated it's a mob connection, but they just haven't said who's the boss behind it.
Yeah.
And that sounds very Selena Wu-ish.
It does. Because she's kind of awesome. I mean, the potential for her, and as a consequence, you to really like become this force for whatever we want to call it. But it would be very, very exciting to do that.
Oh yeah, and especially like Lydia, she's just because I started watching the show, but when I first went, I was like, she's just this tiny little girl. She's like up to my like chest, you know, and I'm like, how is she gonna look scary at all? And then when I started watching her on TV, I was like, oh, she is pretty scary. Like I need to respect this, you know, like
she's awesome. Yeah,
she's a boss. She definitely has a presence that I was like an on-screen presence where I was like, oh, she's really scary. Like I wouldn't mess with her, you know.
And again, because I think one of the I'm taking the long road on this one. I think one of the issues we have with the head writers right now is, well, first of all, there is a lot of inconsistency from day to day, but one of the biggest problems is there are almost too many stories, and so stories get dropped for a long time, and then like 6 months later they get picked up, and you're like, oh wait, and you have to go back and read what happened, you know. So it's kind of like it's felt like it's been this very, very slow burn with Selena Wu. Like, what is she really up to? She's got her hands in all these different kind of pies. And what's interesting to me, because again, we've seen her with her other goons, but it seems to me like even just the few lines you've had, there is more of a relationship there with Mr. Li than with any of the other people that work for her. So I'm interested to see if maybe in the back of the writers' minds, they do have a plan in motion and they'll reveal more about your character and your connection to her in the future, you know. But it's like the waiting is the hardest part.
Oh, you're telling me. I'm like, please call me back. And now I'm like in the show. Now I'm invested in the show. I'm like, you gotta make this good, you know. Like, there's a lot of pressure now, you know, and I hope you're right. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is they brought Selena on back in 2015.
Oh wow!
And I mean that long ago, but it was only occasional appearances when they had this group called the Five Families would meet, and then of course, you know, they started to highlight her more, and then connected her to Brad. And then that's when it picked up. But yeah, I still feel like it's like, come on, there's more to this story. Like I want to know more about, which is great. I mean, a great testament to the actors involved and the potential for this storyline. But it's just like, it feels like it's taken forever to get there. And I've learned long ago to be patient with a soap opera, but sometimes Chris and Dan kind of stretch my patience to the limit where it's like they drop something for a very long time before they pick it up again, or they don't pick it up at all.
Which could explain the 2 months it took them to cast you. Because maybe the writers were like, okay, we've got this storyline with Selena going on, and then all of a sudden something got in the way.
Yeah.
And something was put front and center. So I think, I mean, if you think about it, if Lydia's been on this show since 2015, look at how her character has just grown. Let's put it out there that the same thing is going to happen to Mr. Li as well, you know?
Put it out there, and if it does, I know it'd be because of you guys, because of the Snark community. Wow. You know, honestly, you know, I can't thank you guys enough for, you know, even come on, you know, like reaching out and talking to me. I mean, I've had like 5 lines throughout the whole thing, and I was really surprised anybody even noticed me. You know,
of course we notice. Of course we do.
Yes. Hey, and you got your own wiki page.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that as well, and I was I was very shocked, because
Well,
I'm
that's
not.
to say that's
I
fandom for
wish I had. I wish I had editing capabilities. I'd go in and like make up this whole ridiculous backstory about you, and people would be going, "Wait, I don't remember that."
Didn't have to like go back and watch it again.
Right, and they're like, "This
How did that
didn't happen,"
happen?
which is not unusual for GH for something to seem to have happened, and yet it didn't happen, but we're supposed to believe it did. For example, I don't know how caught up you are, but the Oscars harmonica randomness. Did you see that episode where? Okay, it doesn't matter, but this is a character who's been dead for what, 8 years?
Mhm.
And all of a sudden they pull out this random harmonica and do this whole spiel about how this character loved this harmonica and they give it to another character. And we're all sitting here going, he never played a harmonica. Why are we doing this? So,
That's hilarious.
I mean, again, that you got to forgive it a little bit because that's sort of the nature of soaps.
yeah.
Somebody dies and then they're reminiscing about all these things they loved. It's like, when did they love these things? I don't remember them loving these things.
So,
Morgan,
yeah.
when Morgan died,
And
Morgan
his
loved
penguins.
penguins.
We never heard about penguins. Anyway, we'll just make up stuff about Mr.
Off
Lee.
on a tangent, anyway. But do you, because I know Leanne's going to edit this. Do you have any? Is there anything else you want to add or say to us, or have questions for us, or Leanne? Do you have any other questions?
Oh man, I like, I think all I can say is just I'm super grateful for you guys, and for having this page and for being such awesome fans and just awesome people. Because honestly, I never, you go as an actor, you go from job to job to job, and you're kind of like, especially like not like a big actor, just someone as a day player or, which I'm I'm very happy where I am as that as well, but you hardly ever get any attention. You know what I mean? And again, I want to thank you guys so much. If any traction or anything, I know it would be because of you guys and because of the fans, because it's really, you know, like I said, it's really surprising to hear you guys say that and even want to talk to me. And I'm super touched and I'm super happy. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you so much. Thank you for having me. You guys have a great day.
you're
Thank you.
great. Thank you so much, Sam. Bye bye.
Bye.